All right, so I would say so far so good. Let's go directly to day 2 here. The Patriots picking up Travion Henderson. I had him as 3rd overall. I mean, I'm not too far off from Judkins, so both those guys are pretty tight on my big board. For the Patriots, Travion would definitely be the better pick, so I don't know if they lucked out there with the Browns going with Judkins, which made sense because of Chubb. So 2 teams got some good running backs. I know, it looks like PFF gives them an average grade. I mean, it's respectable. Could it be an overdraft because they're running backs? But hey, here's the thing. I said in my previous for the day 2 prep for today, I said if they didn't get Travion Henderson or Judkins, you might as well punt the day 3. So they got it. I like it a lot. Made sense to me. Going to the 3rd round, Kyle Williams. I'm not the biggest Kyle Williams fan because his lowlights are sometimes against not really having production against Portland State. I mean, he had a good game against Portland State, and then obviously anytime he played, Texas Tech shut him down, Washington shut him down. I mean, 1 or 2 catches for basically nothing. So he's got some hot or cold. He's a bubble screen slant type of guy, crossers. Don't expect him. I know a lot of people think that he can do some more vertical stuff, but that was based upon watching the Senior Bowl where it's 1-on-1 and you have the whole field. Right? The the quarterback has no advantage there. No pressure, just dance around. There are plenty of, highlight clips of him doing it, but also look at all the other failed attempts. Most people don't. I'm not saying I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say I grind Kyle Williams film, but if you just watch 1 or 2 games of his weaker performances, which I watched college football, so you go back, you watch, and you're like, here's the one thing. Kyle Williams being a 3rd round pick will come in, and the thing is no one's immune to him. There's nobody in the current wide receiver room that is sitting there saying, oh, I'm good, right? Not just because there's a lot of, the number of wide receivers are, someone's going to have to go. But, I mean, the guy can play some Z, he can play some slot. That's the majority of the, guys in the room. So you got Polk, you got Baker, you got Booty, Douglas, Bourne. All these guys are going to be. This guy showing up is going to put pressure on those guys to either. Well, one of them they know that someone's going to be cut, so they better show up and be ready. So I think. I mean, I'm not saying they spent a 3rd round pick on some cerebral psychological pick to get the rest of the room to go, but that's a little extra value thrown in there. And there's not too many guys on this team that really do play like him, but don't think that he's even a comprehensive Z or a comprehensive slot receiver. He does very well on certain things. The problem is that I think a lot of NFL teams are just going to go back. Look at how some of these other defenses in college were able to shut him down. He doesn't have a massive catch radius, doesn't have massive hands. Some guys from the trail position were capable because he's got a turn. Not exactly the best over-the-shoulder catch guy. So he's going to have to turn. Anybody who's from trail is going to probably do pretty well. So that being said, still a great pick. I was definitely a little bit more kind of a day 3 on him, but 69, depending considering how wide receiver board got cleaned out, pretty smart. Probably a good get ahead of it, get the guy you want. Him or Jalen Noel would have been fine. Kyle Williams probably puts a little more stress on the rest of the room, whereas Jalen Noel would have been almost exclusively on Pop, which out of basically everybody in the room that, but minus Diggs, I'm good with Pop. So perhaps in many ways, probably a smarter pick for the Patriots. Now, let's see, what's the next one? So we have that, and then coming down, what did he end up? We traded back a couple times here. When they end up actually picking it, like 90 or something? I forget. Oh yeah, Wyatt Milam, that one hurt. Jared Wilson. Oh yeah, what did we get him at? 95? All right, so, oh yeah, they trade with KC. This is a great one. This is, in terms of value, best one yet. So, essentially the top center. Now, you could say Zabel might be your top center ultimately, but off the first one off the board, that's really a true center. Freak athlete. Absolutely freak athlete, and, you know, didn't really get that much playing time. Like, honestly, like, you had Cedric Van Pran. He was, what, for 2 years, 3 years? No, 2 years at Georgia. So Jared Wilson's only got 1 year of starting, and he looked pretty good at the position. So I don't know if he'd be an instant plug and play, but I would not be surprised if he does win the position outright. And then you'll at least, maybe he sits for like 1 year. Ben Brown, that would be another guy to keep around for third. And then Cole Strange has the flex for either center or guard now. So the center position, I think, is solid. And, you know, maybe they'll do something about guard. If they do, if they grab a guard on day 3 here, that whole guard group is going to be under pressure. Now, that being said, to that, like, you're going to need, you have Onwenu, but you need a backup for Onwenu, which Layden Robinson would be great for that. And then you got Cole Strange and City So for the left. One more would probably displace at least one of those guys, but it's not like it's overly crowded for interior offensive line. There's also, what's his face they got? Wes Schweisinger. No, yeah, whatever's Swinzer. And then, well, Ross, don't forget about Jake Andrews, too, depending on how he's coming back from his injury. So far, so good. It's been a while since I've been this happy with the picks this far in. Not only are they hitting what they need, but I think everyone's been a good value. The ones that might, like, say Travion Henderson might not be seen as a good value, but, like, honestly, I think most of the running backs are going to be valued kind of in the triple digits, like 100 to like 150. It's going to be super crowded. So maybe the Patriots can possibly come back and get another one at that like 230 something, 220, pick up somebody else that's a little bit different. But I think it was smart to get ahead of it. Same thing with the wide receiver. Same thing with the center. They got essentially one of your best running backs, one of your best wide receivers, and definitely one of the best centers. So we're there. You got the best tackle in the draft, one of the best running backs, one of the best wide receivers, one of the best centers. So far, you can't really, I mean, other people might have gotten some better value picks maybe today, but I mean, it's not like the Patriots are, I mean, they even got, how about this? You got Jared Wilson, you got extra picks out of it. You got trade back, you got an extra 5th, and then you got a 4th next year. You still got one of the best centers. Brilliant. So far, so good. Now, let's take a look at best available. No, actually, let's do, best available, and then what's our first pick is 106. So that's only a few in, I'm sorry, let's go to the 4th and just take a look where we're at. 106. So crazy. Shedeur Sanders is probably not going to go really that early. I guess the Raiders would be your first one that would be looking for that, and maybe Jets. Doubtful though. Saints. No, they don't. No, they don't, because they just picked up. No, like, nobody needs a quarterback anymore. Oh my gosh. Man, Shedeur, man. That's what happens though when you act like a fool. So, Patriots have 104, and then they have 140 something, right? The 44, 44. And then they got that other one they just picked up, 146. And then they have the Joe Milton, which is 171. Still there. And then the 220, 220, right? 220, all right. And then 230 something. I think 238. There it is. Yep, 238. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know if they'll take all 6, but maybe the 171 turns into like a 180 something. But let's take a look really on what's best available. So talking about needs, edge, I'll say this, like there hasn't been a massive flood yet. So maybe they're thinking, like I think I'm there. I know a lot of people are big on Jack Sawyer. I am good. I'm good with him too. I'm also big on Barryn Sorrell. I think PFF has these grades appropriate. Kyle Kennard, solid. Jared Ivey I have in the 100s. Elijah Roberts way further back. Braden Swinson. So there's nobody, like, I don't know if that would be their first pick at 106. I don't think Sorrell. I'm big on Tyler Batty, but even for me, Tyler Batty would be like the 146, 171 pick. I know David Walker's got some potential there. Q Robinson, I would do him later on. Antoine Powell-Ryland's very interesting. This is where the strength, again, for these edge starts to come back up in that late. So like 171, 220, 238. Like Barryn, Oben, Colin Oliver, Ja Joyner, Fadil Diggs, Johnny Walker. Yeah, they don't. We'll have to go back to that one, but there's plenty of. Actually, where's do they? Oh, there's Elijah Ponder. Now, Elijah, I wouldn't mind getting really late too. He needs a little bit of work, but there's definitely some edge rushers. Now, here's the thing. If there's the ones I think that could be actual needle movers would probably be Kennard and Sorrell, and then Tyler Batty, not necessarily as a pass rusher, but more of an edge setter. Jack Sawyer and then Ahmed would probably be a little bit more heavy-handed edge setters, but with some pass rush. So they'd have to, I think, and then Elliot and Antoine. So I think they'd have to make a move on edge at 106, 144, or 146 if they're going to have a shot. They haven't gotten D tackle yet. I'm good with almost all these. Cameron, I like a lot. I don't know if that's the style they're looking for. Joshua Farmer, I know they were, looking at him. I like Ty Robinson, obviously. And then both CJ West and Jordan Phillips, both are just solid, comprehensive D tackles. And Begees is a very interesting athlete too. Looking further down, Peebles he's another one. I mean, yeah, him at like the 140s would be a good grab. Deion Walker, I made note of him in the previous video. If you can give me Deion Walker with one of those 144 or 146s, again, we're talking like day 3. Even if the guy comes in for like a dozen snaps a game and all he is just like, all right, Deion, this guy is going to have struggle with you just because he works from A all the way out, basically. Not that he's like old, like again, he's very raw. He's 6'6", 340 something, terrible conditioning, completely upright as a edge rusher or as a rusher, pass rusher in general, has essentially no game plan, very little like moves. But he is 6'6" and 345, and he knows how to use that. Not to like the fullest extent, but he's not like, he understands that he has long arms, he's powerful, and if he can lift the guy up and if he can get the other guy to lift, he's got him. And that type of idea where it just, hey, there's some guy that's just weak against you, we're just gonna put you in on third downs, especially if Barmore's not around, he might be your guy. Riley Mills is also another solid pick there. He's coming back from a knee. Zeke Biggers, Cam. Jay's he's very interesting. He's more of a nose guard. There's everybody's favorite, Desmond Watson. I wouldn't have him above Thor Griffith or Joe Evans or Eric Gregory or Nazir Stackhouse, though, or Nash Hutmacher. Yeah, this grouping down here, so maybe they're thinking D-tackle later on in the day. Definitely a group at this point with what's available could be a double dip here. Let's see, linebackers. Oh yeah, Chris Paul's still in there. I forgot about him. Stutzman's still in the game. He could be an interesting grab with 106. Same thing with Barrett Carter. I wouldn't hate that. He doesn't. Barrett Carter, only thing with him is that for him being around 6 feet tall and like being in the or in the 220, 230s, not the most athletic guy. Let's see, Cody Simon. I pointed him out a few times now. I haven't done an analysis on him, but special teamer, one of your best run stuffers, super athlete, Cody Lindenberg. I mean, I'd love for him to get 171 or like one of those 200 picks. Same thing with Jay Higgins, Teddy Buchanan. The linebacker group gets pretty strong down here. Dolak, but there's a lot more UDFA linebackers. Not that I think that that's what they should do, but the linebacker has barely been touched in this draft, so there's still plenty of those guys left. What else we need to talk about? Tight end. Gunnar Helm. I know some people like him. I'm not. The anthropometrics, he has absolutely completely inverted stride mechanics. He has very little low knee. He is low amplitude knee drive, incredibly high backside mechanics when he runs, and it's not just because of an ankle injury. You watch his he needs to be taught how to be an athlete. He's very raw athletically, but someone needs to tell him how to move technically. I'm not big on him. I'd pass on most of these guys. Mitchell Evans, Urosek probably has potential, and same thing with Mitchell Evans, but I wouldn't touch them until later on. Same thing with Fedoni. I'm going to keep pointing this out, and I'm not trying just to be it's the only tight end I like. But Oronde Gadsden is literally 2 seasons of nearly 1,000 yards. And he was a former wide receiver. He's nearly 6'5". Right now he's 230 something. You're going to need a big target. And if we go to wide receiver guys, the wide receiver room right now, Elick would be an option. But then after that, anybody who's got actual X potential, Dante Thornton as a speedster, Andrew Armstrong might be your next best one. Because then you're talking maybe Nayer, Brew McCoy. He's a big dude. He's 6'3", 230. Oh, Holden's a big dude too, right? Yeah, he's pretty good actually. But not a lot of big X's left to really talk about. Some Z guys in here, Torrey Horton's solid. Bond's an interesting one to keep an eye on here. Jalen Lane being more of a slow, shifty slot guy. Obviously, Tennis Johnson being there as well. Keandre Lambert Smith. I think he's still in play later on. 230, 220. Chism, if you're still looking for a slot later on. So what's next? Oh, guards. I think he's a center, but Drew Kendall could be another option. Clay Webb. Garrett Dellinger would be an interesting one. He looked pretty good with Will Campbell, so Marcus Ware is a good guard as well. Newman, Nash Jones. Yeah, plenty of solid guards left, and obviously PFF is pretty limited with what they have there. Oh, actually, that being said, Jackson Slater there. I was going to say Jackson Slater, did he get picked? But he's really good, actually. So, another guy that you can possibly pick up in the 200s. Safety. Moore. Hancock, Woodson, Moore. Good grouping there. Verdun. Burks is actually pretty good too, and Sigel. So safety, still got an option there. Most of them, again, would probably be that late. Most in the 200s. Running back, wide receiver. Quarterback. I think, honestly, the way this is going, I mean, if there's somebody here, I wouldn't, I mean, maybe not the 106s, but one of those 140s or 171s. If you want to to get a Will Howard, Riley Leonard, McCord, I'm more of a Curtis Rourke or Max Brosmer group right now. The Curtis Rourke, I think, because, they had Nathaniel Rourke on the squad 2 years ago. Remember when he was on the team? That's his brother. Now, Curtis is probably a better prospect. He's like 6'5", high 220, low 230. The only problem, coming back from a knee. Tully Malott is pretty good. Cam Miller, they have him he's solid. They don't really have the other guys I would love to talk about, which are deeper. But, yeah, like Leonard, McCord, Howard, Rourke, if you can get to 171, I wouldn't hate that. The other thing that's probably on the list is kicker. I think Ryan Fitzgerald right off the top is a smart move, but any of these guys, if you get to 200, it's definitely worth a consideration. So 220, 238, even if they're starting to get pulled off, I'm sure this top four here is pretty solid. What else we got? What else? Guard, wide receiver. Let's talk corner and running back real quick, because it's probably just great to realize that most of these guys, we don't have to go out and get them. But you're looking at a whole grouping of guys that are still draftable. If they picked up Leon Larson and with one of the last picks as your receiving back, that'd be very smart. Same thing with Donovan Edwards. LeQuint is also in there. He's good. There's some receiving backs. Marcus Yarns. Bunch of guys that can catch the ball. I mean, Scatabo or Sampson, I wouldn't even hate if they went with those guys later on too. Good value pickups. All right, so corners. So, yeah, Dorian Strong could be a one right off the bat. Zy Alexander, this group right here. Now, this guy, so I don't even know how to say his name, but I've watched enough on him, and I've yet to hear an announcer pronounce it correctly. I've heard 3 different ways of saying it. So, Balil Colney or something was, I think, the most common one. Don't know if that's correct. He's interesting. He's a little bit bigger, but he could be a prospect at 171 or 200s. Za Frazier should be rated a lot higher than 200. Mac McWilliams might be... Oh, wow, Denzel Burke, they have him down this far? Oh, that's nuts. But Mac McWilliams can play basically everything as a D-back, so keep an eye on Jabbar Muhammad, another good slot corner. Tommy Hill's more bigger, but let me go take a look at safety again, and then so Jordan Hancock can play slot and deep safety. Anybody else in here that's pretty good at that? Oh yeah, Siegel. Let's take a look at tackles. So Cam Williams, that's an interesting one to bring up. because that would be a good 2-year development right tackle. Vincent Pierce, maybe 171 or 220 for these guys. Once you get down here, they don't have nearly as much as they should. Again, PFF being a little bit weaker here, but they update right away, so we got to go with them today. So what's the game plan? Let's just do all of them and kind of run through. Yeah, I would, honestly, looking at this, Kyle Kennard probably being that, and Cam Williams, Jack Sawyer. I mean, I know it's because of their ranking. It's probably influencing me a little bit. But Dorian Strong, yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue against that. Ty Robinson. I think defense. Yeah, I think defense would probably be the first one out of the gate. But then that being said, it's kind of hard to. I mean, Cam Williams is unless his knee's really that bad. He's developmental, and he was just came out of nowhere because it was 1 year. He's just good, but he's a young dude. I don't know. I think him sitting for a year or two could be your legitimate right tackle in a couple years. Maybe him at 106, and then we take a look at a D tackle at 144. Not sure who would be there, but maybe Ty Robinson, Joshua Farmer, Peebles, Deion Walker, Riley Mills, Horsley's more of a nose tackle, but that's a possibility at 144, and then 146, edge might be still holding up. Yeah, it's kind of hard to pass on Kennard, though, too, huh? Shit. So Kennard, Sawyer, Sorrell. Sorry, I'm not talking. I'm just trying to kind of gauge what I'm... Armstrong. Okay. Tight end. Now, what I'm guessing is that Kyle Kennard has some issues that people don't. I mean, Kyle Kennard, if I had to bet on what's going to probably thin out quicker, it's probably going to be offensive tackle. Unless there's something I just don't know about Cam. So Cam at 106, then try to go for an edge at the 144. Gosh knows what that's going to be. And then D tackle at 146. One of those three, and then take a look at maybe linebacker. No, tight end. Shit. Tight end. I don't like... See, that's the thing. I don't really like what's left except Oronde Gadsden, which I would use as, again, mostly basically a big slot. And then Jordan Hancock would be a good pickup probably later on. Any of these safeties that can play some slot corner for you would be helpful. Yeah, maybe push D tackle off to 171 and then go with the tight end at one of those 140s. And then again, kind of the big one is just keep going back to that Cam Williams or like another tackle at 106 if there's somebody here they really like. The one again I would take a shot on would be Cam Williams, assuming things are all right health wise. If not, you got a nice grouping down here. That would be great. I don't think Holland Pierce or John Williams makes it this far, but Jack Nelson's solid. Hinton's good. He can play some guard as well. Jalen Travis is legit. Chase Lunt, not the greatest length, but tough dude. Maybe can be a guard for you. He's a taller dude, though. But there's some decent work down here for guys. Polay is actually grades out real great at tackle this past year. But I think some people think he might be a guard. Truss, local kid from Rhode Island, played just about everything on the line. Vincent's got some upside potential, still raw, but he can be there. So another tackle. Jalen Rivers actually is really good so maybe they don't have to press at 106 for a tackle, even though, what else? Sorry that I'm talking in circles, but Dorian Strong. Anybody that really sticks out? Not really. Yeah. I guess I would say the strength right now is towards the defense. The one thing would be, do they go after another offensive lineman and then a tight end at some point between the 106 and 171? I don't know if they wait that long to get to like the 230s before they go offensive line or anything else. The only other thing would be for wide receivers. Like Bond would be in play, in my opinion, because of how he plays. I mean, Horton, Restrepo, Royals, all these guys are probably could be anything from 106 all the way to 200 here. KLS might be still my kind of great day 3 guy for the Patriots. I also obviously love Efton Chism. Wester's got some pop to him. But after that, I'd probably be really just waiting for UDFA. Take a shot, call up a bunch of guys, bring them in. So, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. So far, so good. If I have anything, I'd like some dice rolls. I think they've hit enough. I think this would be a chance to start looking at guys that are really early up on the board. This is when, like, almost every year, beginning of the third round, where there's these guys who do make it out of, obviously day 2, that were highly ranked to be like day 2 guys, or even bought, like, let's say like the DeJuan Joneses, right? Who else was it last year? Troy Franklin. What's his Dorless from the Oregon last year? A lot of guys that just were pretty high up that for whatever reason didn't get drafted, and you're like, I wouldn't get cute here. I would just kind of, this is the situation at 106, I guess maybe pick somebody you like, but then 144, 146, I'd start looking for those dice rolls. And then maybe get smart again later on with D tackles. And then a kicker. Maybe a QB in there. QB at 171. So, yeah, let me know. What do you guys think so far? Is there anybody they really missed on? I thought they missed on the Landon Jackson thing. My biggest concern was that the Bills were going to grab him. They did. Now they got Kyle Williams ahead of him, so I'm sitting there like, okay, would I rather want Landon Jackson and say like Knoll versus Williams and then trade back a bunch? Kind of hard to say right now, but I know Landon Jackson versus Will Campbell was an issue. So I'm not really happy that the Bills got him, and the Patriots probably could have used him anyway. So that's probably my, there's at least 2 of those guys a year, and some of them are turned out to be really aggravating because either the player could have been, good on the squad, but then usually what happens is that's a position where I was like, probably should have went after that position. It's happened several times recently, so maybe that'll be it. Maybe we're looking at Landon Jackson having a great rookie season and giving Will Campbell some issues twice a year. And everybody's going to say, well, why didn't you just go get him? And you get Kyle Williams, who, probably going to be wide receiver 3 for you. A few hundred yards, 500, 600, 700 yards maybe ultimately. Versus some guy who's going to rack up, 5, 6, 7 sacks a season and also be a pain in the butt for you for the next 5, 10 years. Fun times. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. If you guys like this content, please like and subscribe. As always, thanks for watching.